Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
From the top rope, kid and killer roar so loud. Black and gold waving, we're a fearless crowd. Under them lights, the fight burns bright. Greatest team assembled, ready for the fight. We stand tall, we stand true. Every game, every play, got the Hawkeye view. Legends rise, and we all knew that the black and gold's coming straight for you. From a Hawkeye view, see the whole state rise. With a heart so strong and fire in our eyes. On the field, on the court, in the stands, we shine. The best in the game, and the state is mine. Cover Hawkeyes, marking, watch them break that press. Dropping dimes, hitting threes, never second guess. Full court hustle, hit the sneaker side. With the fight in our veins, we red at pride. We stand tall, we stand true. Every game, every play, got the Hawkeye view. Legends rise, and we all knew that the black and gold's coming straight for you. From a Hawkeye view, see the whole state rise.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into in addition to the Hawk's Eye View. Andrew Barber, Drew Shipley here with me. Iowa just fresh off their Big 10 tournament loss. Fran McCaffrey ejected. Rough one to say the least, Drew.
I have two questions first before we get into that.
Okay, let's hear it.
So did we actually get like a live band to sing a song about the Hawk's Eye View? And if so, like who is it? Or like
No.
what's going on? Or like is there actually happen to be a theme song out there that has non-royalty that talks about the black and gold and says Hawk's Eye View multiple times?
No. It is
What
a
is
wonderfully AI generated song.
Oh, damn.
There's things out there on the internet where you can go and say, write me a song in this genre about the Hawk's Eye View podcast. And I'm not sure what Chris is. Thanks, Chris Shipley. We appreciate you. But it probably actually listened to our podcast because AI can listen to all the hours of the podcast that we've recorded and then probably made a song about it.
It's 2025, man. That's wild.
And that is how we have the new song that we have.
I had no idea, honestly. I had no idea.
Yeah, it would be sweet if there was a band out there. That is how we do not have any sort of copyright infringement going on. We have AI writing music for us.
Dope.
All right. Before we get into it, what was your second question?
I think I asked both questions. Is like, is there a band that actually did this song? And then the second question is who are they?
Oh, got it.
But it was basically like 1A and 1B. So both questions were answered. We can move on.
Well, before we get into it, there is some breaking news that I need to share.
Oh.
Some very personal news.
Are you quitting?
What?
Are you quitting?
Come on, man. Never.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Never.
Personal breaking news. Okay.
Shaving the beard. Breaking news. It's
shaving the beard.
What?
Shaving the beard.
Okay. I'll just come right out and say it. On this Sunday night, I asked my current girlfriend to be my wife.
Let's go.
And she said yes.
Let's go. Yes, sir.
I know she's listening. Bethany, I love you. You're wonderful.
Oh.
So There is a wedding coming up at some point in the future. We don't know when. Don't ask. We're figuring it all out.
Trust me, it's a long-term planning cycle, Andrew. Just take your time.
That's precisely what we're doing, Drew. So
Yeah.
that is the breaking news that I wanted to share with
Oh, that's
you
great.
on this podcast.
That is awesome. I love that.
So I thought we would start with something good.
That's something positive. Yeah, I like that. No, that's wonderful, man.
We'll have AI write a song for our first game.
Played by Stone Sour.
It'll be pretty bad if we do that. But that's how we're gonna save money on a DJ. We're just gonna have AI write music for our dance.
I mean, might as well. I mean, shit. Wow.
No. Yeah, that being said, we can get into it. That's why we pushed this podcast back so late. We just wanted to see the outcome of the game. I think you and I probably both had a good indication of what might happen tonight. Were you surprised at the result at all?
After I saw the first half, I expected a better result at the end, which I don't know why, because the microcosm of the 2024-2025 season is this Iowa team can compete with the best in the conference until down the stretch and then get thumped, by superior teams, Michigan State, Illinois a couple times. Several other games. I can't name the opponents specifically right now, but Ohio State, teams like that, like single possession games at the final 4 minute, lose by 12 or 15, some shit like that.
Purdue,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would say a microcosm of what I think is inevitably Fran's legacy at Iowa is unable to rebound by and large. I mean, they were out rebounded by at least 20. I know it was like that difference at least within the last minute of the game. So give or take 20 rebounds in a game, which I think was 19 points or something like that off of those rebounds. Just undersized teams year in and year out that it's hard to compete with anybody that has one big, let alone two. Like Illinois, he usually carries around, or Purdue, he usually carries around, or Indiana, he usually carries around. Michigan, he usually carries around, right? So, I mean, for the exception of probably Luka Garza, right? Or, I guess Adam Woodbury. I mean, talk about like true big men of the Big 10 that can play in the Big 10 in the Fran era. It might be limited to those two in regards to, I don't know, athleticism, scoring prowess, defense, like the whole package. Like somebody that was a worthy Big 10 5 spot in the Fran era. Is it those two? I can't think of any others.
I did like senior year Philip Rebraca.
Even he was undersized, though, man.
He was undersized.
6'9", something like that. I mean, I think he played above his height, though. And most of those big guys did. Rebraca's a good one.
Cook, to an extent.
Who was the guy? Was it North Dakota State that we got as a transfer for a couple of years?
That's Rebraca.
Who was the transfer before that? We had a guy that was kind of mid-sized like that. That was really a really good scorer. I don't remember.
We haven't hit too big on transfers, so
I thought we had a couple good mid-major transfers come in as juniors and seniors. Maybe not.
Rebraca is the biggest one, I would say.
Okay.
Rebraca and Thelwell are probably the two best transfers of the Fran era.
Would you consider Jack Nungy a big?
Yeah.
I mean, I think his best years were in Xavier, unfortunately.
Stretch
and probably
played
still
4.
even a stretch 4 at that. So I mean, I guess what I'm saying is the recipe for disaster in the Fran era, like season to season, has similarities, right? Is getting out rebounded with less lengthy rosters that don't play fucking defense.
Yeah.
I think those are the 3 things right there. And like, we're not breaking any news to anybody about any of that. It's not a hot take. It's a matter of fact. I feel bad for Peyton Sanford. At least he had a couple more good moments. I mean, he lit it up. What 30 spot tonight?
Yeah.
Tied the Big 10 tournament record for threes, which ironically Keegan Murray had a share of that. 2 years ago when they 3 years ago when they won the Big 10 tournament.
Yeah, 2021 year.
So I think down that last minute they were trying to feed him the rock to chuck up another one to get 9. It kind of looked like. I mean, the game was already in hand at that point, right? It seemed like they kind of forced it. But I would have been on board with that. I don't give a shit at that point. I mean, your coach got double teched out of the game with before the 8-minute mark of the second half. Only down. What was it? Only down 8 with the ball. 9.
Yeah.
8 or 9 with the ball. Give them 4 free throws and the ball. Granted, I mean, the Hawkeyes turned around and lit a fire right under that. They had back-to-back stops and back-to-back buckets that cut it right back to 9. But, like, you don't know that in that time.
Right.
But, like, you know, and again, another microcosm of Fran's career getting ejected if this happens to be his last game on the bench for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, but
it all comes full circle. As we've seen everything that Fran's teams were known for: high scoring, not rebounding, defensive liability, hothead as a head coach. That's like all those together. That was the last 15 years, and I think you can find that in every single season.
Yeah, you can also see the story of guys developing. Can also, well, first of all, Larry Scarrato hates Fran McCaffrey, so that's a part of the ejection tonight. Dude has a personal vendetta against Fran McCaffrey for whatever reason. But like you said, Peyton Sanford, Warrior. I think you got to just applaud the effort for a team that was kind of shorthanded, right? They were missing Freeman and Cooper Koch, who are both going to be rotation guys this year for most of the season. Thelwell in and out of the lineup. Dick's injured. Peyton injured, playing through it. Right? Those guys played through wrist and shoulder injuries and all kinds of stuff. Thelwell battled through injuries all year. Traore battled through injuries all year.
Doesn't that kind of seem like a common theme year to year though too? It doesn't matter the roster. Like it seems like we get like ticky tack injuries that keep compiling up into worse things as the season goes along. Right, it goes from like sprained wrists to like I don't know. I
think this is personally
is for that the sprained wrist, broken wrist. Like I don't know. Jordan Bohannon's hips, for example.
Yeah, I think
he had surgery on both of them, didn't he?
Yeah, personally though, I think this has been like one of the hardest hit years for injuries for
Okay.
It's been the most that I can remember.
I'll say this: I didn't see much drop off past Owen Freeman in this short run here in 2 months. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I liked Braun. I like Braun filling in. I thought he was highly athletic. He was exciting to watch. Pull down some boards.
Well,
I mean,
it's incredible the difference that it makes when you actually care about being out there. So,
what do you mean? What do you mean about caring about being out there?
Well, Well, I think we can kind of read between the lines with the Owen Freeman injury and then the subsequent shutdown.
You think
That's a guy that was just checked out.
You think Owen Freeman's deucing out?
Deucing out. There's no doubt. So that's why I say, compliments to the guys who stuck it out and battled to the end, because that's not necessarily true.
Man, that's pretty wild and a hot take from you, because I said this about the football team stars that sat out and called that bullshit on that.
Yeah,
and you defended them, but now the roles are reversed here. Now I think that Owen Freeman didn't really get got a raw deal maybe, and you're on the opposite side, and he's just like, fuck these guys.
Yeah, I think there's some things that'll come out about that'll make that a little bit more clear.
Who was his high school teammate?
Brock Harding.
You think he's gone too then?
Probably.
Fine. Like here's another thing about this 2024-2025 roster is there was no consistency game to game, player to player.
Right.
There might have the Hawkeyes' best games, they might have had 2 starters clicking at the same time for maybe 35 of the 40 minutes.
I would agree.
And games that we would have 1 star in it, we might be a single digit loss or something. I don't know, fucking Northwestern or Rutgers or some bullshit. And then, we just get absolutely blown out when nobody shows up. And more times than not in this 2024-2025 season, I mean, and like you said, I mean, there's reasons for that. Peyton Sanford definitely injured. No doubt about that. Didn't stop him tonight.
No.
This team is better than 17 and 15, and that's what's frustrating about it.
I think they are too. I think, again, being healthy might have helped that some. But I look back through at the box scores and thought about some of those games, and I don't know. I think being a healthy full team, we might have been at the 19 or maybe 20 mark. Maybe we could have flipped a couple games, but I don't know. Big Ten is kind of a gauntlet this year, man.
Maybe it was just a team that lacked chemistry.
That too. Maybe at times, but
I mean, they infused transfers with freshmen and sophomore phenoms, right? With Harding, Dix, and Freeman. Had Thelwell come in, right? I don't know. Peyton and Price Sanford still around.
Yeah.
I don't know. You say injuries, but then you don't give the injury clause to Owen Freeman. I just find that fascinating.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like his injury was very playable. So I think there's some other things going on there that we'll find out about after the season. That being said, I think you're right. This is probably it for Fran. We saw the last game of the Fran era tonight, I think. Whether that's I expect that news to kind of come pretty quickly from what I understand. We aren't going to have to wait that part of it out. The part that we may have to wait out is we are eligible for postseason play in the Crown/NIT. The caveat to this Crown tournament that they're doing is you have to have 7 scholarship players, and we only have 10 currently.
And the transfer portal opens up the 24th? Did I read?
Right, and so so you can count out Freeman.
So was that 10 including Freeman?
That 10 is not including Freeman.
Okay.
I guess so. That already excludes Freeman.
Okay.
It excludes Peyton, who I think may not. I don't know. He could play? Maybe he will. Why not? Right. But I don't think we're going to have enough scholarship guys if some guys transfer out, if Fran, calls it quits. I think that's going to open the door for a few guys to put their name in the transfer portal. And then in that case, we won't have the guys to play in the Crown, potentially.
It's just fascinating to me that, I feel like the emotions on the sleeve of Sanford told the whole story, though. Like, of what we don't know yet. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Iowa doesn't even accept a bid, or they're not invited and get another chance to play in postseason basketball for Sanford. Like, Sanford knows it's it for Fran too.
That's kind of how it feels, right?
Yeah.
With all the emotions, and then I read about the emotions in the locker room at the end of the game. A lot of hugs, but that's typical of any season, but maybe this is a little bit different.
So like our friend Bill Blank asked for, hoping that Fran went nuclear in the post-game presser, did he? Did you happen
I don't know. To
watch it? I feel like we would have seen it by now if it happened, but
yeah, I don't know. I feel like he could, because he knows that tomorrow there is no tomorrow, so he could.
By the way, I'm fucking fired.
Yeah. There was a question about do you expect to be the coach at Iowa next year? And he said, I do. But like we've talked about previously on the show, it could just be Fran. That's just coach speak, right? He's a professional. He's not going to let anything that's said behind closed doors out in a public press conference before it gets. He's going to allow the university to do their press release or whatever's been said behind closed doors. He's not going to just spill that publicly. That's never been.
Oh, yeah. And then he's going to take his $4 million buyout and say.
Yeah. And so on that buyout, one thing that people don't know is that buyout doesn't have to be all paid up front. That buyout can be spread out over years. The reason why that's big is because if you have to go pay buyout for, say, Darren DeVries, it's nice to have that Fran McCaffrey buyout spread out over years. Money is not going to be an object when it comes to finding a new coach at Iowa.
That's where I was wanting to get at, right? Because the fact of having to factor in Fran's buyout and the buyout of the coach that we seek afterwards, whatever, wink and a nod, might cost us $8 million in just buyouts alone, and $4 to $5 million a year contract after that.
Yeah, but half of that, the Fran half of that, can be amortized. That's a fancy word for saying spread out over 4 or 5 years, to my understanding.
I guess my point, Andrew, is how many millions of dollars does the Iowa football program make on a yearly basis?
I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head.
I think I had heard something like $75 million during the COVID year, and that's probably lowballing it now. And that was before the new Big 10 package came along with. TV package came in with the Pac-12 teams, right? And now it's $100 million. Was it $100 million per each team just in TV revenue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus the $75 million. So just call it $175 million football makes. That they spread it around to all the other Olympic sports, non-revenue sharing sports, right?
Yeah.
It came out that Carver Hawkeye for the men's team was only at 34% capacity for the entire season, which means 2 out of 3 seats were empty for every game on average. Right. So,
yep.
So, like, if we're really worried about a $4 million buyout for Fran and a $4 million or whatever buyout for DeVries or McCollum or whatever, whoever it is, I don't care. Like, I don't think we're looking at the right things, right? Because these places are considered nonprofits. That's why they're tax exempt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Private institutions don't have to disclose financial information, right? Because it doesn't come from the taxpayers. My
Yeah.
my
Go ahead.
point my point is like they're having trouble finding ways to spend this money because they have to spend it. So why aren't you investing it in Carver Hawkeye Arena? Why aren't you investing it in the Hawkeye men's program? And that's just not for the head coaching position. That's like the men's team in general. They don't have a problem with the wrestling team selling it out, and they got their ass kicked in the Big Tens last week.
Sure.
Got third, 0 champions for the second straight year.
Sure.
No problem selling it out for the women. I think 14 of 16 home games were sold out this year, something like that.
Yeah, but it wasn't always like that. I mean,
the momentum has sustained enough.
right. So that's kind of where I think where you're going. Maybe not.
Money's not an object for the university, and it shouldn't be, is where I'm going.
Okay.
But go ahead.
But I think a big part of your next coach has to be one that excites the fans and excites donors and or knows how to get the relationships with donors. And that guy is one, Darren DeVries. The other thing is that there are people who donated specifically to West Virginia that were donating to Drake last year when DeVries was there. There's people that are loyal to Darren DeVries.
I bought a West Virginia shirt the other day for shits and giggles.
Nice. Yeah, there's people that are loyal to him, big donors that are loyal to him that are going to follow with him, right? And that's something when we're talking about the next head coach of Iowa basketball, that's why he's such an attractive option. I do think that's going to be the guy. And I think that's going to be exciting to a lot of fans. And like you said, that fan number is pretty big. I also think that Darren DeVries has some expectations for like NIL because it's come out recently that Iowa's definitely in the bottom third of the Big 10 when it comes to men's basketball. NIL. Some of that's on the head coach. Some of that's on the university, right? Whatever you want to say the reason for the issue is, there's definitely a lack of funding there that you need in men's basketball that I was just not getting. Now, the new revenue sharing that's coming next year is going to help with that. The 20 million or whatever that you can spread across however you want, essentially, across the athletic department next year. Iowa's going to be able to opt into that fully. They have the money to opt into that fully and spread that out with the athletes. It's just a matter of how's that distribution going to look. But you're still going to need funding on top of that because everybody else will have it too. Everybody else that takes men's basketball serious will have it too. That's why I think DeVries is probably going to do a lot more in that regard than Ben McCollum, because we've essentially heard that those are the two options. It would be like I was not essentially going to strike out with one of those two options. They're going to end up with one of those two options as their next head coach. I do think that Ben McCollum would be exciting, but maybe not as exciting / know how to work all of that like Darren DeVries does.
I agree. I think it's a win-win situation if those are the two candidates and they're both are truly on the table, right?
Yeah.
I have questions if either of them can be bought in year one of their new program. I know you don't, and I know you've seen stuff that says otherwise. Stuff that has mutual interest from one particular candidate. I don't know, man. Like, maybe I just live this false hope that like loyalty, which is one of my like highest valued values, I guess, for lack of a better, is more prevalent in the world. You know what I mean? Like, loyalty is just as important to them as it is. Does that make any sense? Like,
it does. It does.
I don't know, man.
The question is what are you loyal to, right? For both DeVries and McCollum, we talked about this last week when Sean was on. It's home for both these guys. Right? They both have like strong connections to Iowa City specifically.
Yeah.
So, what are you most loyal to? Right? So that's a factor as well.
Because to me, Andrew, I say that about DeVries specifically is he couldn't have rode out the last season at Drake. He just came from a round of 32 tournament appearance, the second in a row, right? Would have had his son back. Would have had all those transfers back. Now you wouldn't have had all the D2s. You wouldn't have had what's his name, Sturts.
Right.
I can't.
Any
remember.
of the guys. Any of the
D2 dogs.
Right.
So I mean, hindsight's 2020, but I'm just saying, like, the writing's on the wall that Fran's about done regardless of how it went. But now that we know, you're going to leave a Division I program in arguably the best basketball conference in the country, in the Big 12. One of the best home court advantages in the country. Pretty loyal fan base. Bob Huggins, like, it took him like multiple DUIs for his ass to get fired and said something stupid on the radio to get fired, man. Like, that program would have been loyal to him. You know, this is his first year there, and the one and done yesterday by West Virginia. You know, they'll be on the outside looking in on Selection Sunday, unfortunately.
I don't think they will. I think they'll be in.
You think they'll still make it?
I think they're going to be a 10 seed. I think also, ironically, Drake will be a 10 seed.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I guess I'd seen West Virginia fall on their face here the last month and a half or so. They were ranked early in the Big 12 season.
Yeah.
Up in the 20s, knocking off some really good teams in the non-con.
That's a testament to his coaching.
And then beating Arizona at home was one of those games.
Beating Iowa State without Tucker.
Yeah, I mean,
or
so they might have. You might be right. They might have enough quad one wins to surface into the field. I guess I haven't seen the bubble lately, but I figure maybe the tournament loss would have hurt.
It's bad. No, the Colorado loss is a bad loss, but not bad enough to the point where it's going to wreck your tournament chances, especially with the bubble in the condition that it is. In fact, our own Iowa Hawkeyes might have helped them knocking out Ohio State.
That's true.
We also ended Nebraska. So there's another thing of the end of the Fran era. We got to play spoiler twice in a row.
One against Fred Hoiberg.
We ended Fred Hoiberg's coaching career. We ended Ohio State's NCAA tournament hopes. Also, Illinois is back at full strength. Full strength Illinois is
what, Andrew? Is what, Andrew? What did I say they were going
severely underseeded? Severely underseeded. They're a potential Final Four team. I'm not going to predict it.
I did. In the preseason.
They have the potential. So, yep.
They also have the potential of getting bounced in the first round because that's what Big 10 teams do when they get seeded high.
Actually, so I actually saw that since 2012, Big 10 teams that are seeded 7 or 10 are 17-1.
7 through 10?
Yeah, if they're 7 or 10. If they're 7 or a 10, in the NCAA tournament. They are 17-1 since 2012.
But
So essentially,
but I feel like Illinois is going to be a 6.
no, they're projected as a 7 seed currently.
Nobody wants.
They might move up if they win the Big 10 tournament.
No, but I'm telling you what, they don't want to. They don't want to see them there at the 6 or 7 seed. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, so I think they're going to be a 7. I don't think they're going to win the Big 10 tournament and think they're going to end up at 7. All right. I think it's maybe time for a little bit of a break. What do you say, Drew?
Yeah, we can wrap it up with the women, and yeah, I think so.
All right, we'll come back and we'll wrap up the show.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman, Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right, we're back. Thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. Yeah, the Iowa women's team, they made a nice little run in the Big 10 tournament. Fell just short against Ohio State. Maybe questionable ending, Drew. It's okay, though. I don't think they should be disappointed in themselves over that necessarily. I think they played their way up to the 6 line from what I'm seeing.
I've seen 6 line from everybody that projects the women's brackets out there, and I think rightfully so. I think they're a top 25 basketball team.
Yeah, and guess who is on the 3 seed line? Guess who?
LSU.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I feel like the women's selection committee just will not be able to resist pairing Iowa with LSU and LSU. I don't know enough about LSU women's basketball this year. I think they still have Flau'jae Johnson. I think they still have Morrow, who were on last year's team. But I don't know anything about the rest of LSU women's basketball other than they still have Kim Mulkey. So,
and she's in the now.
Yeah.
Ugh, disgusting.
So I don't know. We'll just have to kind of see what that matchup is. I do think it's good that they've played themselves into a position where they're potentially avoiding a top 8 team at home.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit closer there. I don't know how the women's side of things will handle the play-in. That 11 seed that Iowa faces could be a play-in type squad.
True.
So that'll be interesting. Or it could be a mid-major conference tournament winner, a decent one.
Do we know the regional sites right off the top of your head? Usually the women only do 2 regional sites to the Final Four instead of 4.
Yeah.
I think last year was stupid as hell. It was like Seattle and Albany or some shit like that. Like,
yeah, it was. It was way east, way west.
I'm curious now. I'm going to
until
look at
the Final Four, which was, oh gosh, where was the Final Four last year?
Was it in Texas?
That sounds right.
Houston?
It could have been Caitlin Clark's junior year that it was in Texas, though. Why do I feel like it was in Dallas her junior year?
Women's NCAA tournament.
Apologize, folks, for doing our research live here on the show.
2024 Women's Final Four was in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio.
In 2020.
Right. It wasn't that far away.
That was, yeah.
What
is in Dallas, Texas? Yeah.
Where are we this year for the regional play?
Regions 2025. Spokane, Washington, and Birmingham, Alabama.
Put us in the Birmingham side, please. It's closer, I suppose.
They just can't get out of Washington State. What's going on here? Like, I don't understand. Spokane always hosts.
I don't get it.
So yeah, I guess Birmingham it is.
So first 2 rounds at whoever the 3 seeds home floor is, and then off to Spokane or Birmingham if you make it that far against a 2 seed.
Okay, so let's play this out. Let's long ball this out then. 6 seed. Okay, so who would be in play for the women in the 3 seed line then? Who would we looking at, and who would we want out of those folks?
Let's just pull up the ESPN bracketology for giggles.
We might as well. We got time.
Yep, we do. Number 1 overall seed, according to them, is South Carolina. We'll see, probably. Iowa State, one of the last 4 in right now. Iowa State on the play-in.
Guaranteed in yet?
What?
Iowa State's not even guaranteed in yet?
No, they're guaranteed playing game with Princeton.
That doesn't seem right to me.
Washington and Harvard, the other play-in teams at the 11 seed line.
Okay.
They have Iowa against Duke in Durham. Do not like that. That Duke team just took down Notre Dame.
Oh.
Who is really good. And the 2 seed in that region they have is TCU, Haley Van Lith.
I watched her play this last weekend here in Kansas City, and it tore me up inside.
Yeah. The other 3 seed, Kentucky, Georgia Moore, the old Virginia Tech coach went to Kentucky, Kenny Brooks. And then you've got LSU that we mentioned, and Oklahoma.
Jenny Baranczyk.
So those are your potential options. And then your 2s are Notre Dame, NC State, UConn, and then TCU, as I mentioned. So, and then they have us in the South Carolina region. So if we were to make it to the Elite 8 somehow, probably playing against a South Carolina team. Or they have us in the Ohio State region. Ohio State is the 4 seed. Who knows what Ohio State could do? Maybe they could make a surprise run to the Elite 8. Probably not.
I think I want a shot at Oklahoma or TCU.
Or Kentucky. I think a Kentucky matchup would be fun too.
Anybody but Duke.
Honestly, yeah. I think that Duke team is like really dangerous.
In Durham, yeah, for sure, man.
I don't mind the TCU from the 2-seed spot. I think that TCU or NC State is okay. I'd rather them than Paige Beckers or Hannah Hidalgo in Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But either way, I think this Iowa women's team will take kind of what comes. They have us. Who do they have us playing? They have us playing Fairfield, the automatic qualifier Fairfield.
Oh.
From the NEC, I believe.
Oh, the Northeastern Conference.
Fairfield is located in Connecticut, actually.
Wow. Conference of Champions.
Small, little-known Connecticut school.
Yeah.
Fairfield.
Yeah.
That's not Fairfield, Iowa.
No, not with the Mormons.
Nice. But yeah, I think this is we'll just have to see how it plays out as far as the draw goes. But I think you got to feel good about them advancing to at least the round of 32. And then from there, I think kind of what happens, it will just, like we just talked about, just so depend on the matchups.
Yep.
I really believe that once you get past that first round, even sometimes in the first round, it's all matchup dependent come March, especially NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
But we've seen Iowa compete with even the best of teams. I mean, UCLA is on the one line. We saw Iowa take them to the wire. We saw Iowa beat USC, who's also on the one line. So we've seen this Iowa team compete with 1 seeds.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anybody that they will particularly be afraid of, even if we as fans might be.
I mean, they have no reason necessarily to be. Jan Jensen's a returning coach, granted a first-year head coach. You have Hannah Stolke. You have Sydney Folter.
Lucy Olson has been
Lucy Olson, who has tournament experience. I don't know, man.
Can light it up, and Feuerbach is playing amazing defense, playing a good role, I think.
Yeah.
Hayden is starting to feel confident.
Hayden has started to come out and taking Ready out of that major minute role.
That's a huge development, I think. Hayden coming in and providing any sort of scoring punch at that 5 spot off the bench.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
And playing some decent defense too, just playing confident, right? Yep. I think that is going to kind of put her on a nice trajectory for next season.
Yep.
Where she'll likely start, I think.
Yeah.
So that's good. I don't know. I feel good about this Iowa women's team. If I had to guess right now, I would say that Sweet 16 kind of feels like the ceiling. Maybe anything more than that would be.
I think if all chips fall right, I think they can make it Elite 8 run. But
right, they might need some things to swing their way, maybe to get there.
Elite 8. Round of 32, somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would pick this team to win a game at least.
For sure. In fact, I will. I don't care who they play.
Yeah, I'm willing to say that before the bracket even comes out that this team will win 1 NCAA tournament game. Yep. And we'll get to be hopefully talking about more basketball next week. And maybe by late next week, we'll have a new men's head coach. It's very possible. It depends on the fate of Drake in West Virginia.
That's true. It's true.
We'll see where they end up. On that note, I'm going to head to the Drake men's basketball watch party.
Nice.
Sunday. They're doing a nice watch party again in the Knapp Center. Maybe the crowd will get on CBS.
our friend Sean Roberts hosting that thing, or what?
Sean Roberts will be hosting that thing. So if you want to continue to support friend of the show, Sean Roberts, come on out. I think the doors open at 4:00 and then the show starts at 5:00.
That sounds right.
And so by 6:00, we'll know where everybody is. And then the women's show, I believe, starts at 7 p.m. on ESPN.
Okay.
So we will know by 8:00 next Sunday night where the Iowa women and others fall
Cool.
into that. So we'll come back next Thursday and we'll look forward to breaking that all down. Wrestling, baseball, anything going on with those two teams, Drew?
Baseball underperforming once again. They have a new facility in Iowa City. The baseball team does.
Nice.
A nice indoor facility. Looks pretty sweet. And like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, Iowa had a disappointing third place in the Big 10s behind obvious Penn State, and then Nebraska actually finished second in team point standings. We only had one number one seed in the Big 10 tournament, and obviously he lost two. Second straight season that there was not a Big 10 champion. So I'm not sure where we are on the horizon of moving on from the Brands brothers in regards to coaching. I mean, they're only 4 seasons removed from a national championship. They're always second, third, fourth place in the national meet. But is that good enough? I mean, for me, being almost 40, the answer is no. But Beth Getz, does she really? I mean, they're selling Carver Hawkeye Arena out. There's still just as much momentum. They got Bo Bassett coming in here in 2026.
Right.
Kind of losing most of the Ferrari family, because it was supposed to be more than just, was it AJ Ferrari is the one that's still on the team?
Angelo, I thought.
Angelo Ferrari, that's right. And then AJ Ferrari and then another brother. They were both committed to Iowa at one point in time, and they both decommitted over something I can't even remember. But they're all hotheads and poor decision makers. So it's probably a good thing as far as character-wise that they're not all on the crew, if we're being honest. But they were elite wrestlers. So I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. But, disappointing Big 10 tournament. And baseball's right at 500, actually, for the season. I believe they're 8-8.
Jeez.
Just struggling pitching again, man. They're losing a whole bunch of games, like 9-8 or 10-7, or, just don't have the arms to compete. They're scoring enough runs to win. Another disappointing start to the Hawkeye baseball season as well. So,
man, I don't envy Beth Getz, because she's gonna have to replace the men's basketball coach. She already did it with the women's. She's gonna have to replace the football coach probably in her tenure, and maybe the wrestling coach and the baseball coach.
So Rick Heller's not a spring chicken, right? So
right.
What he's done for Iowa baseball in the last decade has been nothing short of phenomenal, of actually putting Iowa baseball on the map, making NCAA tournaments for the first time in forever. I'm not sure how many tournament appearances they've actually made, but as a whole, as a program, but certainly in the conversations, making regionals, making Big 10 tournament runs. So, I mean, I think the replacing of the baseball coach is going to be more on Rick Heller's timeline than Beth Getz seeing, who else are you going to get out there to come coach baseball at Iowa, bro?
Yeah, I don't even know. I just knew that he was kind of getting up there. Maybe, and it sounds like a guy that gets to go out on his own terms, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think he gets the Kirk Ferentz treatment, honestly. I mean, as long as he wants.
Sounds like he deserves it. I just mean that she's going to have to hire his replacement whenever that time comes, most likely. So every single good coach that we've had recently, she's going to have to replace them all.
Talk about Talk about defining your own era, man.
By the way, just managing the whole NIL deal too at the same time. And figuring that out. I've heard a lot of talk too about some teams are hiring GMs now for like basketball.
Seen that too.
I've heard some talk that Iowa men's basketball might be getting into the hiring a GM business. I think there's two very obvious guys, Ryan Bowen and BJ Armstrong. I think those are two very obvious guys that could be the GM for Iowa men's basketball.
Now, how are these GMs actually operating in a college basketball atmosphere first before I give my answer?
They are working with agents primarily. Essentially, so Brad Heinrichs has been doing all that. What is going to happen, Tyler Barnes is already the GM for the football program.
Okay.
And so that's what he does. He talks to NIL agents now. That's what Brad Heinrichs was doing. Love Brad. Love the work that he's done. Probably a tough job for him. BJ Armstrong, Ryan Bowen, they've been around the NBA. They understand the agent side of things. So that's why I'm tossing their names out there. Everybody's got an agent.
I got a couple names to throw out there then, since we're doing that.
We do have a couple more names that I think you could throw out there. Go ahead.
You ready? All right. Reggie Evans.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. Luka Garza.
How about someone else in the Garza family? Frank.
Does he deal with a lot of agent stuff?
Yeah.
I know he's a big prominent businessman.
Yep.
Frank would be all right. And then just for shits and giggles, because he was an NBA player too, I'll say Ricky Davis.
Oh, I thought you were thinking of another guy, Kenyon Murray.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be good too. So I think in the new landscape, you kind of need one, since all these kids have agents now. Every time someone hits the transfer portal, you're not just talking to the kid, you're talking to the agent.
Yeah.
There's on every sport, every one of the major sports, they all have agents. It doesn't matter how big time of a transfer they are or not.
Hey, if anything else, the college athletics job market's growing. So we got that going for us, which is nice.
It is. We're going to stop this podcast and become agents. We're going to stop this right now.
You know what's funny about this whole agent stuff, right?
Right.
I think most of these guys are actually attorneys. So I don't think either of us can fucking figure that out.
I don't think they are. I think sometimes it's family members who think they have a business sense for some of these kids.
Okay. Okay. How about the prominent ones, the top 10%, the Rosenhaus and the who's the prominent baseball one who never takes a fucking deal? Scott Boras.
Yeah.
Rich Paul. I don't know if he's an attorney or not.
Yeah. The washed up walk-ons had an idea, so I can't take credit for this idea fully. Where they were going to just represent the bottom tier guys that were thinking about coming to Iowa and just ask for like $1,000 or something from these bottom tier guys as a fee or something. Just run flat fees, right, for brokering deals. And they were talking about this with Brad Heinrichs, and Brad said, maybe that's a good business model. You never know.
That's wonderful.
So maybe we should beat them to the punch and stop this podcast tonight.
Okay. See you, Chris. Know anybody?
We're agents. Talk to our agents if you want us back.
Your people get with our people.
And they'll get with your people. Sounds good. All right. You got anything else before we call it a night?
Nah, man, I'm good.
All right. We'll be back to talk NCAA tournament and maybe more on the Iowa men's coaching search next week. Thank you all for listening, as always, and have a great night. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Talking football. Football, talking hoops, every sport in between. IOWA, yeah, you know what I mean. From a hawk's eye view, see the whole state rise. With a heart so strong and fire in our eyes. On the field, on the court, in the stands we shine. The best in the game, yeah, the state